of the junior division have delivered their speeches, and I have to say that was a round of very high quality speeches. Let's put our hands together again for our 6 finalists. So while our junior division finalists rest of it, let's proceed to their senior division, which I'm certain will be also of stellar quality. So the guiding question for the senior division is, the Executive Council confidentiality ensures that council members can be free and honest in advising the Chief Executive, and members must not reveal either the agenda or proceedings of meetings or any documents shown to them as Executive Council members. Meanwhile, a magazine has recently been given a stern warning by the Privacy Commissioner on publishing pictures of some actors' private lives. Do you think that confidentiality should override public interests? First, let us introduce contestant number 1 of the senior division, Ms. Ng Risa. Please come onto the stage. The title of her speech is, Public Servants Must Serve Public Interest. You now have 3 minutes, and you may begin after the bell rings.
Thomas Jefferson once said, "The basis of our government being the opinion of the people, the very first goal should be to keep that right." A fundamental tension in any democracy is the one between a press that promotes the right to know of the public and a government that has the empowering need to safeguard information. We are torn between the competing imperatives of security and openness. So where exactly do we draw the line? I believe that confidentiality must not override public interest. In my speech today, I will evaluate both the nature of government and the media. Firstly, confidentiality cannot override public interest because it was conceived to protect public interest. Government institutions are under mandatory obligation to refuse the disclosure of information if it could harm individuals and firms. However, they also have this mandatory obligation to the people. Consider public interest before denying access to relevant information. Just like actors are role models to some people, politicians are also public servants. They serve the greater community and have given up their right to privacy when they decide to step into the spotlight. And this is where the media comes into play and can act as check and balance for the government. The media has the power to unravel hidden agendas, but it also has the power to cause mayhem and chaos. Firstly, the right to know is not absolute. For example, we don't have to know what unknown island a politician is visiting. What we want to know and hope to know is whether or not this politician's private morals are identical to his political morals. On the idea of media responsibility, if the media gives out information whose disclosure is arguably harmless, CIA budget for fiscal year 1964, then the media should trust that, if indicted by a wayward government, the jury of 12 would evaluate the government's ill-conceived prosecution and vote to acquit. However, if the media discloses information that is vital to our national security, then they should be prepared, and if they have no justification for doing so, then they should be prepared to face the judgment of the law, and if convicted, the full wrath of law. There is a reason why public servants serve but do not rule, because the role of government is not to disclose what is best for the public. We cannot afford to allow confidentiality to act as shelter for immorality. We must strike a balance between the two, but one thing I'm certain of: confidentiality must not override public interest. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. Mr. Lynch will now ask you a question relating to your speech. The bell will ring and the timekeeper will raise a start card right after the question has been asked, and you will have 1 minute to respond to the question. Mr. Lynch, please.
Thank you. If you were the managing director of a media company, how would you balance this tension between making money for your business and excuse me, and business ethics?
I believe that ethics, just like our own morals, is a standpoint that we should all take when it comes to being a good human being, when it comes to being a good business individual. Business ethics is important because it's our own morals. We have to be able to say that we can sleep calmly at night. We cannot do something that we feel sorry for. And for this, profit maximizing is a goal, but it should come as a secondary goal. Because what's important is that we know that what we're doing is right. And business ethics, for a passion to have in journalism, you have to be able to speak out the truth. And that's exactly what I stand for. Thank you.
Thank you. A second question will now be asked by Mr. McLavin. Again, the bell will ring, and the timekeeper will raise a start card right after the question, and you may then respond to the question. Mr. McLavin, please.
Thank you. Students from ethnic minorities have struggled to pass the Chinese examinations, the results of which will affect their ability to advance in education and employment. Do you think there should be another set of examinations for them?
I believe that just like English proficiency tests have different levels of difficulty for different speakers of different capabilities, we should have a different test for these ethnic minorities because they are already in Hong Kong under our protection. We have to cater to their needs as much as we cater to our own children. And that's why it's important for us to stand for the idea of democracy, the idea of equality, that we cater for all equally and with much respect to all ethnic minorities. Thank you.
Thank you. Please take a seat.